The massive starship Celestial Guardian hummed with a low, persistent vibration that seemed to pulse through its metal corridors. Lieutenant Jae-hyun Park stood frozen, his dark eyes fixed on the digital assignment board flickering before him. Something was definitely wrong with his quarters placement. Shared quarters. With an alien. Not just any alien, but a diplomatic representative from a species humans knew very little about. Her name was Rina Kwan, and she represented the Luminara Confederation, a mysterious race that had only recently established diplomatic relations with human space exploration teams. Jae-hyun adjusted his standard-issue navy blue uniform, feeling a sudden rush of nervous energy. He was an engineer, not a diplomat. His world consisted of complex machinery, quantum algorithms, and precise technical solutions. Sharing personal space with an unknown alien felt like a bizarre social experiment. The ship's artificial gravity created a gentle pressure against his boots as he walked toward the assigned living module. Each step felt weighted with uncertainty. Other crew members glanced at him with a mix of curiosity and mild amusement. Everyone knew about the unusual quarters assignment. When the door slid open with a soft hydraulic hiss, Jae-hyun found himself face-to-face with Rina Kwan. She was taller than he expected, with skin that seemed to shimmer between silver and pale blue. Her eyes, large and slightly angled, studied him with an intensity that made him feel like he was being scanned by some advanced technological device. "Lieutenant Park," she said, her voice a melodic combination of frequencies that seemed to resonate differently than typical human speech. "I assume you are as surprised by this arrangement as I am." Jae-hyun cleared his throat. "Indeed, standard protocol usually separates different species during long-distance missions." Rina's lips curved into what might have been a smile, or perhaps just a calculated facial expression designed to appear non-threatening. "Protocols change. Our mission requires unique collaborative approaches." The living module was efficiently designed, with 2 separate sleeping areas divided by a transparent partition. Advanced climate controls would automatically adjust to both their physiological needs. Technical efficiency seemed to be the primary consideration, with personal comfort as a secondary concern. "I hope you understand," Rina continued, "that this arrangement is not about personal preference but strategic necessity." Jae-hyun noticed subtle technological augmentations along her neck and wrists, neural interfaces that likely provided her with instantaneous data processing capabilities. She was more machine than traditional biological entity, he realized. "The Celestial Guardian's current mission involves complex technological integration," she explained. "Your engineering skills and my diplomatic computational analysis make us a potentially effective team." A holographic display suddenly flickered to life between them, showing multiple star systems and intricate technological schematics. Jae-hyun recognized some navigation coordinates and quantum drive specifications, but many elements remained unfamiliar. "We will need to establish clear communication protocols," Rina said, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Data points shifted and realigned with each delicate touch. Jae-hyun felt a strange mix of professional excitement and personal discomfort. This was not a typical assignment. Something larger seemed to be brewing beneath the surface of this unusual quarters placement. As if reading his thoughts, Rina paused and looked directly at him. "There are aspects of this mission that extend beyond standard operational parameters. Your ability to adapt will be crucial." The ship's internal communication system chimed softly, indicating they would soon enter a restricted communication zone. Their first true test of collaboration was approaching, and neither of them knew exactly what to expect. Jae-hyun took a deep breath. One thing was certain. This journey would be anything but ordinary. The alarm screamed through the Celestial Guardian's metal corridors, a piercing electronic wail that meant serious trouble. Lieutenant Jae-hyun Park's hands were already moving across the emergency control panel before the first warning light finished blinking. Quantum drive failure, critical system malfunction. Rina Kwan appeared beside him, her neural interfaces already scanning multiple system diagnostics. Her fingers moved with impossible speed, translating complex data streams faster than any human computer could process. 37 microsecond disruption in primary quantum coupling, she said quietly. Most humans would have heard gibberish, But Jae-hyun understood the critical nature of her observation. The ship's massive engines were losing synchronization. If they continued to misalign, the entire vessel could be torn apart by quantum stress. Millions of kilometers from any potential rescue, their survival depended on solving this problem immediately. Jae-hyun's engineering training kicked in. He pulled up holographic schematics, his eyes tracking minute energy fluctuations. Something was deliberately destabilizing their quantum drive. This wasn't a random mechanical failure. Intentional interference, he muttered, more to himself than to Rena. She nodded, her iridescent skin reflecting the emergency lighting. Precise observation. Someone wants us to fail. Their earlier tension dissolved in the face of a common threat. Survival now trumped cultural differences. Jae-hyun realized they made a surprisingly effective team. His human intuition combined perfectly with Rena's computational precision. Sweat beaded on Jae-hyun's forehead as potential solution scenarios raced through his mind. Traditional repair protocols wouldn't work. They needed something radical. Rena's neural interfaces began projecting complex mathematical models directly into the air between them. Quantum probability waves, energy transfer algorithms, and potential system redirections danced like intricate three-dimensional blueprints. If we recalibrate the quantum coupling using a nonlinear compression algorithm, she suggested, we might stabilize the drive's harmonic resonance. Jae-hyun saw what she meant. It was a risky approach, something no standard engineering manual would recommend. But in deep space, survival often meant breaking established rules. His fingers flew across the control interface, implementing her suggested modifications. The ship shuddered. Warning lights flickered between red and yellow. For a moment, it seemed they might have made a fatal mistake. Then silence. The quantum drive stabilized. Emergency systems returned to normal operating parameters. They had saved the ship. Rena looked at Jae-hyun with what might have been respect. Impressive collaborative problem-solving. He allowed himself a small smile. Teamwork. What they didn't know was that this was just the beginning. Something, or someone, was testing them. The quantum drive failure was more than a mechanical issue. It was a message. Someone aboard the Celestial Guardian did not want their mission to succeed. As system diagnostics continued running background checks, Jae-hyun and Rena exchanged a look of mutual understanding. They would need to stay vigilant. Their unexpected partnership had just become humanity's first line of defense against an unknown threat. The ship continued its silent journey through the vast, dark emptiness of space. Millions of kilometers from home, two very different beings had just proven that cooperation could overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Their real mission was just beginning. The ship's communication room felt unusually cold. Jae-hyun's fingers traced encrypted data patterns across multiple holographic screens, while Rena stood perfectly still. Her neural fragments of communication logs revealed a complex network of hidden messages. Each decoded transmission suggested a larger, more dangerous conspiracy, targeting not just their mission, but potentially entire diplomatic relations between human and alien systems. These communication patterns, Rena said quietly, they don't match standard diplomatic protocols. Jae-hyun zoomed into a particular encrypted segment. Coordinates, military deployment strategies, hints of a potential conflict that no official diplomatic channel had mentioned. Their shared quarters had unexpectedly become a secret intelligence center. The same space designed for basic living had transformed into something far more critical. A strategic command hub where two different species were uncovering a potential galactic threat. A small data chip caught Jae-hyun's attention. It was hidden within a standard maintenance report, almost invisible to normal scanning systems. When he connected it to their analysis system, multiple encrypted layers began revealing themselves. Someone wants this information buried, he muttered. Rena's neural interfaces began creating complex holographic models, star systems, fleet movements, potential conflict zones. A massive strategic map emerged, revealing connections that no single intelligence agency had previously discovered. The conspiracy went deeper than they initially suspected. multiple alien factions were involved. Some wanted diplomatic tensions. Others seemed interested in triggering a potential conflict between human and alien systems. Each decoded message revealed another layer of complexity. "We cannot approach standard military channels," Rena warned. "The leak might be internal." Jae-hyun understood immediately. If someone within their communication networks was compromised, revealing their discoveries could trigger exactly what the conspirators wanted: a massive, destructive conflict. Their personal backgrounds suddenly became their greatest asset. Jae-hyun's engineering precision combined with Rena's diplomatic computational analysis created a unique problem-solving approach that traditional intelligence teams couldn't match. Hours passed. Coffee grew cold. Digital maps transformed and shifted as they pieced together the complex puzzle. A breakthrough came unexpectedly. A minor communication timestamp didn't match standard transmission protocols. It revealed a hidden communication route that connected multiple seemingly unrelated star systems. "This changes everything," Rena said, her voice carrying a rare hint of excitement. The conspiracy wasn't just about potential conflict. It was about controlling strategic resources, manipulating diplomatic relationships, and redirecting massive economic systems. Jae-hyun realized they were no longer just crew members on a mission. They had become unexpected guardians of a critical galactic secret. Their shared living quarters, once a source of initial tension, had become the most secure intelligence center in the entire fleet. No one would suspect two individuals from different species sharing a small living space could uncover such a massive conspiracy. As the ship continued its silent journey through the vast darkness of space, Jae-hyun and Rena worked seamlessly. Their initial cultural differences had transformed into a powerful collaborative partnership. The real challenge was just beginning. They would need to prevent a potential galactic conflict without alerting those who were orchestrating the conspiracy. One small mistake could trigger a war that would consume multiple civilizations. Their mission was no longer just about technological collaboration. It was about preserving peace in a complex, interconnected galaxy where information was the most dangerous weapon. The ship hummed quietly around them, unaware that within its metal corridors, two unlikely allies were about to change the course of interstellar history. The holographic display flickered with dangerous precision. Red lines connected complex data points, revealing a web of potential conflict zones that stretched across multiple star systems. Jae-hyun's fingers moved quickly, creating advanced simulation models, while Rena's neural interfaces processed information at impossible speeds. They had exactly 72 hours to prevent a potential interstellar conflict. Their shared quarters had transformed into something between a war room and a high-tech research center. Star charts, encrypted communication logs, and complex mathematical projections covered every available digital surface. "The key is disruption, not direct confrontation," Rena explained, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Her alien computational skills allowed her to see patterns humans typically missed. Jae-hyun understood immediately. They couldn't fight the conspiracy directly. They needed to create strategic chaos that would expose the hidden actors without triggering a full-scale conflict. Their plan was elegant in its complexity. By redirecting small communication channels and introducing subtle mathematical anomalies into existing diplomatic networks, they could force the hidden conspirators to reveal themselves. Each movement was calculated. Each decision carried potential global consequences. The Celestial Guardians' advanced systems became their primary weapon. Quantum communication networks, typically used for standard diplomatic exchanges, would become their strategic battlefield. "We're creating a digital trap," Jae-hyun said, a rare smile crossing his face. The engineering part of his brain was enjoying the challenge. Rena's neural interfaces began generating multiple potential scenario outcomes. Millions of computational possibilities explored in milliseconds. Each potential path analyzed, each potential risk measured. Their collaboration was unlike anything in military or diplomatic history. A human engineer and an alien computational diplomat working together to prevent a massive conflict. Small data packets were carefully crafted. Each one looked innocent: a standard communication, a routine maintenance report, a typical diplomatic exchange. But beneath their simple exterior, They carried complex tracking mechanisms. The conspirators would never see them coming. As hours passed, the tension grew. Their shared living space became a cocoon of concentrated effort. Coffee grew cold, nutrition. Packets remained untouched. Their entire focus was on the mission. Jae-hyun realized something profound was happening. Their initial cultural differences had transformed into something deeper. A mutual respect, an understanding that transcended species boundaries. "Transmission sequence ready," Rena announced, her voice carrying a hint of anticipation. The first digital packet launched, then another, and another. Like carefully placed chess pieces, each transmission was designed to create maximum strategic confusion. Their goal wasn't destruction, it was exposure. Multiple communication networks began showing strange anomalies. Encrypted channels started, revealing unexpected connections. Hidden communication routes became visible, like invisible ink suddenly becoming readable. The trap was set. Personal barriers that existed at the mission's beginning had completely dissolved. Jae-hyun and Rena were no longer just crew members sharing quarters. They were partners, defenders of a complex, interconnected galactic system. As the final transmission sequence initiated, both of them held their breath. Years of training, months of preparation, all focused on these critical moments. The Celestial Guardian continued its silent journey through the vast darkness of space. Inside its metal corridors, two beings from different worlds were about to change everything. Their mission was more than a military operation. It was a testament to what could be achieved when different species truly collaborated. The digital net was closing. The conspirators would soon realize they had been outmaneuvered. The aftermath of their mission transformed everything. Multiple diplomatic networks collapsed. Hidden communication channels exposed. Entire conspiracies crumbled under the weight of their strategic intervention. Jae-hyun and Rena stood before the Interstellar Diplomatic Council, their unexpected partnership becoming a symbol of cross-species collaboration. No one had predicted how two individuals from completely different backgrounds could unravel such a complex global threat. "Your actions prevented a potential war," the council chairman announced, his voice carrying a mixture of respect and amazement. Their shared quarters aboard the Celestial Guardian had become legendary. What started as an uncomfortable assignment had turned into a mission that would be studied in diplomatic academies for generations. The conspiracy they uncovered went deeper than anyone initially suspected. Multiple alien factions had been manipulating communication networks, attempting to create tensions between different spacefaring civilizations. Jae-hyun and Rena's intervention had not just stopped a potential conflict, they had exposed an entire system of hidden manipulation. Rena's neural interfaces had processed millions of communication patterns. Jae-hyun's engineering precision had created the perfect strategic approach. Together, they were something more than their individual skills. "We recommend a new collaborative research initiative," Rena told the council, her voice calm and precise. Her alien computational skills matched perfectly with Jae-hyun's human intuition. The council members exchanged surprised glances. This was unprecedented. A human and an alien, proposing a joint mission that would reshape diplomatic understanding. Their success had proven something fundamental. Cooperation could overcome any obstacle. News of their mission spread quickly. Media channels across multiple star systems discussed their unexpected partnership. They had become more than just crew members. They were now symbols of potential. The Celestial Guardian received new orders. Instead of returning to standard military protocols, they would become a pioneering research vessel, a living demonstration of what could be achieved when different species truly work together. Jae-hyun looked at Rena. Their initial tension had transformed into something profound. Mutual respect, understanding, a connection that went beyond traditional diplomatic boundaries. "We make a good team," he said simply. Rena's response was a subtle smile, something she had learned from observing human expressions. "Collaboration is our greatest strength." Their shared quarters remained their primary working space. The same small area that once felt uncomfortable now represented hope, a miniature model of what could be achieved when differences were embraced rather than feared. The interstellar community watched carefully. Their mission would become a case study, a moment when everything changed. New diplomatic protocols were being drafted, research initiatives were being planned, all inspired by two individuals who refused to be limited by their differences. The Celestial Guardian continued its journey through the vast darkness of space. But now, it carried something more than just a crew. It carried a promise, a demonstration. That understanding could overcome any barrier. Jae-hyun thought about their journey, from uncomfortable roommates to global heroes. From potential conflict to unprecedented collaboration. Rena's neural interfaces continued processing data, but now with a subtle hint of what humans might call excitement. Their mission was complete, but their real work was just beginning. Thoughts. Stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter, as if the universe itself was acknowledging their achievement. Somewhere between the cold metal walls of the Celestial Guardian and the infinite possibilities of space, two very different beings had discovered something remarkable: hope, understanding, connection. Their story was just beginning.
Arya realized they were experiencing a silent cultural revolution. David never explicitly told anyone to change. He merely shared human perspectives, stories of innovation, examples of collaborative success, demonstrations of individual potential. Each narrative was a gentle wave slowly reshaping their rigid cultural coastline. The younger crew members became most susceptible. They saw in David's stories a different way of existing, not just surviving, but truly experiencing potential. Discussions about human adaptability started replacing standard operational briefings. Crew members began imagining possibilities beyond their predetermined roles. The very concept of individual agency was being introduced into their collective consciousness. Kira, the lead researcher, found herself documenting these changes. What started as a standard specimen study was transforming into something unprecedented, a cultural exchange happening through pure intellectual interaction. David's containment chamber was no longer just a research space. It had become a classroom, a philosophical forum, a place of unexpected learning. The aliens' technological superiority suddenly seemed less important compared to the human capacity for adaptive thinking. Their rigid systems were meeting a force they couldn't quantify or control: human creativity. Small changes appeared everywhere. Communication patterns shifted. Problem-solving approaches became more flexible. The crew started seeing each other as individuals with unique potential rather than replaceable components. Arya watched this transformation with a mixture of fear and reluctant admiration. They had captured a human, expecting to study a primitive species. Instead, they were being fundamentally redesigned by a single individual's perspective. As star systems passed outside, a quiet revolution continued. Not through weapons or force, but through the most powerful human tool: the ability to imagine different possibilities. David remained calm, observant, his subtle smile suggesting he understood exactly what was happening. The aliens were learning, and they didn't even realize how profound their education had become. The moment arrived without dramatic fanfare. No explosions, no violent confrontation, just a quiet revelation that would change everything. Arya Kim stood before David, realizing she was no longer an interrogator. She had become a student. David's containment chamber suddenly felt less like a prison and more like a conference room. The crew gathered around, their previous rigid hierarchy dissolved into a circle of curious individuals. "I was never a prisoner," David said simply. "I was an envoy." The words hung in the artificial ship atmosphere, heavy with meaning. Kira, the lead researcher, felt the first tremor of understanding. This hadn't been a capture. It had been a deliberate diplomatic mission. Human intelligence agencies had suspected the alien civilization's expansionist tendencies. David was part of a carefully constructed first contact strategy. Not to fight, but to understand. Not to conquer, but to communicate. Every interaction, every psychological test, every technological observation had been meticulously planned. David wasn't just responding to their methods. He was systematically dismantling their cultural assumptions. The aliens discovered they weren't studying a human. The human had been studying them. Technological files revealed David's true background. He wasn't a random explorer, but a specially trained diplomatic agent with advanced degrees in xenocultural communication, quantum systems engineering, and comparative psychology. His mission was simple: demonstrate human potential without aggression, show that cooperation was more powerful than conquest. The crew's previous understanding of human capabilities collapsed like a complex mathematical equation suddenly simplified. Humans weren't just another species to be categorized and controlled. They were adaptive, intelligent, and fundamentally different. Arya realized the profound irony of her initial thought. "You belong to me now, human." The exact opposite had occurred. They now belonged to a new understanding. David explained the human perspective, not as a threat, but as an invitation. Exploration didn't mean domination. Intelligence wasn't about technological superiority, but adaptability and empathy. The ship's communication systems, which had seemed impenetrable, now appeared rudimentary. David had not just decoded them. He had reimagined their entire communication philosophy. Younger crew members looked at their leaders with new eyes. The rigid hierarchy that had defined their civilization for generations was crumbling, replaced by a more flexible, collaborative model. Kira documented everything. This wasn't just a first contact scenario. This was a fundamental cultural transformation. David's final revelation was elegant in its simplicity. Humans didn't want conflict. They wanted understanding. They didn't seek to destroy alien civilizations. They wanted to learn, to grow, to expand collective knowledge. The alien crew understood something profound. True intelligence wasn't about controlling others. It was about creating opportunities for mutual growth. As star systems passed outside the ship's massive windows, a quiet revolution completed itself. No shots fired, no territories conquered, just a fundamental shift in perspective. Arya looked at David, no longer seeing a specimen or a prisoner. She saw a representative of a species far more complex than they had ever imagined. "What happens now?" she asked. David's smile was both an answer and a new beginning. The universe suddenly felt larger, more mysterious, filled with possibilities they had never considered. Their journey was just starting and everything would be different.